Have you experienced some kind of trauma? Maybe it was a small event, maybe it was a big event in your life. Where if you're a human being, you're a man, if you're anyone, chances are yes, because we're all human at the end of the day. So I really want to share a perspective on this and what I've used to move forward when not dismissing it, but being able to work with the traumas in my life to move forward. And if you stay until the very end, I have a final point that you want to stick around for as well. As always, if you want to connect with me further, you can find my links to my social media in the show notes below. So, my experience with trauma. I believe there's different types of trauma. I think I remember Gabby Bernstein. She's a spiritual teacher. I don't like the kind of like super woo-woo sort of thing usually. I quite like people who back it up with evidence and things like that and a scientific approach. But Gabby Bernstein's a really powerful speaker and person with a message, in my opinion. And I remember her talking about her trauma, and she went through some horrible abuse, and she shares about in her story. But she talks about little T trauma and big T trauma, and I think it might be a concept that talks about quite a lot. But yeah, a little T is like something that shakes you up, goes into your body a little bit. But a big T is something that's really significantly impacting. Things unfortunately like abuse could be in that big T. But you could also have something, the small T, that's small T trauma, which could be just getting shouted out at work. Now, of course, like it's up to you to decide what is a big trauma and what's a little one. But like all traumas, in my view, can have impacted me in some kind of way, or in my body, been stored in my body, particularly when I've worked through it. Now, for me, I've had things like lost my brother, my grandma, my granddad, car crash, struggle with symptoms of derealization at school, and lots of other things that I could share as well. Now, it's not like saying, oh, poor Joddy, but it's just kind of an example of things that I was pushing away in my life. And I'd push it away for years, like through things like video game addiction as a kid, as a teenager, just like head in the clouds, daydreaming, listening to music, video gaming then as well. And then through my like late teens to 20s, I just go through partying, right? Many, many times. And what I found is the impact that had over time. Now, I didn't have my head completely in the clouds. I did knuckle down and study at school and get some good grades, and got my qualification stuff at university as well. But I found over time the impact on pushing away those emotions, those traumas and experiences I had, not paying attention to them, even though I was unconscious. So the suppression, where you're consciously pushing something away, and repression is when you're unconscious to it, that it's really painful, that you just push it away and it's just stored in the body, and it is always in the body, but your conscious memory might not remember the traumatic event necessarily. It may do, it may not do, right? But what I found is over time I'd get a lot of outbursts of anger, particularly when I was partying or drinking a lot, because it was like going out on weekends and stuff, because alcohol obviously can combine with that as well. I found over time like my focus and concentration was a real struggle, and I'd have like drained energy at times, or like real high anxiety. And I found when I got into the whole breathwork space a couple of years ago, and that's why I really promote it, that's why I am a practitioner, is that when I got into the body, I could uncover a lot of these. I also did a journey in the Amazon rainforest, where I really went deep into some of these things and actually discovered how much trauma is in my body. And when I started to release it, I started to really connect with myself and move forward as a result. So maybe you've got trauma that maybe you knows there, maybe you've dealt with a little bit. And again, I'm not a mental health professional. I'm just sharing my own perspective, and I'll be very clear on that. So here is some guidance I found. The first one, as I was touching on there, is daily I love to do some breath work, like 10 minutes regulating my nervous system. As human beings, we interact with each other's nervous system, whether we realize it or not. So doing some gentle nervous system regulation exercises really, really has helped me. And that's breath work every day. I would suggest checking out, well, message me, connect with me in a call if you like, or message me on social media. But there's the Somatic Breathwork YouTube channel, which is really, obviously a free channel, really useful for like 10-minute, 15-minute practices. I also do a weekly deeper release of breathwork. That's something I facilitate, that you're going to need at least an hour for that. Those kind of sessions where you really go deep into the body and do intense breathing, so you release what's needed and then you re-regulate your body to sort of a calmer state. The second thing is, I'd always guide you to this, is having a professional to talk to about it, like a therapist or a trained professional. Now, of course, the first thing I suggested was breathwork, but talking mentally to a professional can be really, really helpful, especially when they've maybe got an area of expertise in trauma as well. The third thing is, don't compare your situation to someone else. I've many times looked at my life and gone, well, I didn't have childhood violence, abuse, or anything like that. You know, I had two loving parents, very fortunately. I know that's not the case, unfortunately, for many people. Yet I still had events that really hurt me. You know, losing people. I had events through school that are really hurtful. You know, not that I was like bullied and beaten up severely or anything like that, but I had a lot go on, and I used to go, well, I didn't have a severely bad childhood or anything like that, or I had I had two great parents. It's like, I shouldn't feel guilty. That's the wrong way about going it, because all that does is pushes these emotions down. You want to feel these emotions. It's not about comparing to someone else. How you are feeling is completely valid, and it's you who has a responsibility to sit and feel your emotions, and then of course get the support you need to do that as well. The fourth thing I want to share is, don't share it with the wrong people. As well as say reach out, I'm all for reaching out for help. But sometimes people, when you share like traumatic things, people just aren't ready to hear it. Maybe they've not got that emotional maturity yet, or maybe they're so occupied in their own space. And a lot of people just haven't developed that listening capacity. And that's no judgment. That's just where the person is, right? But there's also people who may, you know, not be so nice people, right? Unfortunately, let's be honest. I don't know many because I don't have those kind of people in my life. But like, when you share with someone and you don't feel like you're heard and you're received, that can be quite hurtful. And it's okay if you say no to sharing with that person in the future. Don't feel guilty about not wanting to share with someone if you don't think you're going to be heard. Find the right person to share with. And it's okay some days to just, this is my final point, it's okay some days to just finding things are a bit too much and then sitting with it. Sometimes, like, I got to be honest, I feel a bit sad, like, not as much as I used to, but sadness comes up a little bit, and I just sit with it, and I'm like, okay, I'm not feeling as energetic. I'm going to sit with myself and work through this. Even a couple of months ago, I had a few things hit me, and I was like, look, I really need to cut down. I need to sit with myself, and that's totally okay, right? I still did the minimal things I needed to do in kind of like my career, my finances, relationships with people, but like I cut a lot of things out, and that's okay to sometimes sit with yourself. If you've gone through something traumatic, even if it's you would say it's a smaller trauma to what you've gone through before, and again, it's your own definition, it's okay to sit with yourself and really cut things back, I believe, as well. So that's what I wanted to share with you. I've got a final point for you. Well, that's what I want to share with you up to now. I've got a final point for you. Just want to mention again, though, that if you want to reach out to me on social media, you can do so in the show notes below with all my links. The final point I want to share with you is feeling into the body, finding some time to sit with yourself in silence or walk with yourself. I like to have 30 minutes a day to walk with myself or be with myself in silence. And what that does, it allows some thoughts and some feelings. If you intentionally allow yourself to sit with you and then feel into the body, then that will also bring to the surface what you need to bring to the surface as well. So I found that a really effective practice. So that's what I got for you today. I appreciate you for being here. And remember to lead with your heart and not with fear.